Who's actually going to get the most out of a 80-bottle wine cooler, and who should walk away before they spend a few $100s on a piece of kitchen equipment that ends up gathering dust? If you're the kind of person who likes to keep a rotating selection of reds and whites at the perfect sip-ready temperature, you might be wondering whether a dual-zone model is worth the premium over a single-zone unit. And if you're only popping the occasional bottle on the weekend, you may be asking if the extra capacity is really a benefit or just a waste of space. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The first hesitation most buyers have is the fear of buying a fridge that looks great on the spec sheet but turns out to be a noisy, temperamental piece of equipment that forces you to rearrange your kitchen just to make room. I've talked to a handful of people who bought a wine fridge without doing a deep dive, only to discover the unit was too tall for their pantry or that the temperature zones weren't as independent as they expected. The KingChii 80-bottle model tries to address those exact pain points with a freestanding design, digital temperature controls for each zone, and a claim of silent cooling technology. The real question is whether those claims hold up in the day-to-day environment of a home bar or a modest kitchen. Let's start with the category itself. Wine refrigerators sit somewhere between a regular fridge and a climate-controlled cellar. The goal is simple: keep your bottles at a stable temperature, avoid vibration, and protect them from light. Dual-zone models add the ability to store reds at, say, 55F and whites at 45F without having to compromise. That flexibility is useful if you entertain guests who have different preferences, or if you like to age a few bottles while keeping others ready to drink. The KingChii unit offers exactly that with two independent digital controls. You set each zone once, and the unit maintains the set point around the clock. In practice, that means you can park a case of Pinot Noir in the lower chamber while a stack of Sauvignon Blanc stays crisp in the upper one, and you won't have to keep moving bottles around to keep the temperatures right. Now, who should actually consider buying this? If you have a small collection that's steadily growing, maybe you've already filled a countertop rack and are looking for a place to store the next 3,040 bottles, this 80-bottle capacity gives you room to breathe. It's also a solid fit for people who host dinner parties or wine tasting evenings at least once a month. Those gatherings often involve a mix of varietals, and having two temperature zones means you can serve a chilled rose alongside a room temperature Cabernet without juggling ice buckets. Another strong use case is a budding home winemaker who wants a consistent environment for fermentation and aging. The digital controls let you lock in a specific temperature and forget about it. On the flip side, the product isn't a good match for someone who only drinks wine on special occasions and keeps a handful of bottles in a regular fridge. If you're living in a studio apartment where every square foot counts, the footprint of an 80-bottle unit roughly the size of a tall wardrobe can feel like a luxury you don't need. The same goes for anyone on a strict budget. Dual-zone technology adds cost, and if you never plan to separate reds and whites, that extra expense becomes an unnecessary premium. Finally, if you're a collector who needs precise humidity control for long-term cellaring, you'll find the KingChii lacking. It's built for shorter medium-term storage, not a true cellar replacement. What makes the KingChii stand out in everyday use is the combination of digital control and a claim of low-noise operation. In my own kitchen testing, the unit stayed quiet enough that I could have a video call in the same room without hearing a hum. The digital display is straightforward, a single button cycles through the two zones, and the temperature readout is clear enough that you don't need a separate thermometer to verify accuracy. That matters because many cheaper models rely on a simple thermostat that can swing several degrees before stabilizing. Here, the intelligent control seems to keep the chambers within a narrow band, which translates to less risk of a bottle being overcooled or warmed up during a party. Capacity-wise, the internal layout is organized into shelves that slide out, allowing you to adjust the spacing for larger format bottles or even a few champagne flutes. That flexibility is a practical strength. Most people don't have a uniform collection, and the ability to accommodate a mixed batch without cramming bottles together helps preserve the wine's condition. I've seen users load the lower zone with a mix of 750 ml bottles and a few half bottles, while the upper zone held a row of slim bottles for a tasting flight. The design also includes a small vent on each side to promote even airflow, which is critical for preventing hot spots that could affect a few bottles in an